The push for the playoffs, the final stretch of the regular season, and one of these featured games is the Battle of Florida in what could be a preview of a first-round series between the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Panthers have clinched the third seed in the Atlantic Division, but the Lightning still have the Atlantic Division title in play. All they have to do is win this game and win their last game of the regular season, plus have the Toronto Maple Leafs lose out, both of them in regulation, their last two games. One of the two games in which Tampa can win can come in overtime or in the shootout coming into play in this game. That's now within reach for the Bolts. Hello everyone and happy Jackie Robinson Day. I am Alec Nava as the baseball world celebrates Jackie Robinson Day to honor an icon who broke the color barrier in the MLB. And his impact in sports remains significant to this day. As we go on to this preview of this game, Eastern Conference spots on the line. That includes the top seed in the Atlantic Division, Toronto. They can clinch the division with 1 point against the Buffalo Sabres. The Lightning will face the Panthers in the first round with a loss in any fashion. Toronto and Tampa both clinch home ice in the first round. The Panthers, the third seed in the Atlantic Division. The Ottawa Senators have clinched the first wild card in the Eastern Conference. The second wild card is up for grabs, which the Columbus Blue Jackets are still alive in that race. They have to win out their final two games in the regular season, both in regulation, as the Montreal Canadiens hold tiebreaker over them in regulation and overtime wins. Montreal can make it in with at least 1 point against the Carolina Hurricanes. In the Western Conference, battles are within reach. The Vegas Golden Knights, in all likelihood, have clinched the Pacific Division title, in which they have. The Los Angeles Kings cannot have a tiebreaker over them in regulation wins. It'll be the Kings hosting the Edmonton Oilers in the first round. The Winnipeg Jets will face the second wild card in the Western Conference, and both wild cards are also up for grabs. The Minnesota Wild are in the driver's seat for wild card number 1. If they win, they'll take that spot. St. Louis can also win as well for that possibility, and clinching the wild card number 2 if Minnesota wins it. If these two are tied in the standings, tiebreaker goes to Minnesota based on regulation wins. That'll leave Calgary as the odd man out. For St. Louis to jump Minnesota, they'll have to win, and they need Minnesota to lose in regulation. Minnesota has tiebreaker regulation wins over both St. Louis and Calgary. St. Louis also has the tiebreaker over the Flames in regulation wins and regulation and overtime wins. So that's for the Blues in that scenario. For a Wild WC1, Flames WC2, the Flames have to win out and jump the Blues in the standings, get at least 3 points to take WC2. In the case the Wild get at least 1 point. For Flames WC1, Wild WC2, both the Wild and Blues have to lose in regulation, and the Flames have to win out in regulation. Blues WC1, Flames WC2, that's for the Wild to lose their final game of the regular season in regulation. The Blues win their final game of the regular season, and the Flames win out in regulation. So as we look into this game between the Bolts and Panthers, if you look at it based on schedule and the potential playoff seedings, you think that this would be a preview of the first round. Throw in a little in-state rivalry. No one faults you for getting excited about this matchup, even if the Panthers are resting up several of their players. ESPN picked it up for a national broadcast, and the reality is another story. With the loss to the New York Rangers, the Panthers have locked themselves into the third seed in the Atlantic Division. Even with win tonight, the Lightning have a game in hand and their first tiebreaker. So, Florida has nothing but pride to play for. Just as they are scratching several of their players from the lineups. And even if they were to tie the Lightning in the standings, the Lightning have first tiebreaker, which is regulation wins. 40-37 at this current moment in time. And the Panthers cannot move out the third seed of the Atlantic. On the other side, the Bolts that can still win the division. It'll take them away the next two games with at least one in regulation, and the Maple Leafs losing both of their games in regulation. This is a likely scenario. The Bolts are also trying to stay healthy in their last two games. Right now, they're without Oliver Bjorkstrand and Luke Glendening, two separate injuries. Darren Radish is good to go despite being a game-time decision after leaving the last game in the second period. And motivation is tough at this time of the season. after a long and painful regular season which lasts 82 games, and the players can finally see the playoffs on the horizon. Some of them had to play extra games because of the Four Nations face-off, as was the case with Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, Braden Point, and Victor Hedman. And you know that things are going to ramp up in 4 days, and it's going to take up every ounce of energy they have to raise their game for the second season. They're professionals that are motivated to play at their best every night, but they're also human. It's natural to maybe hold something back in what, for all intents and purposes, is a meaningless game. But this is a playoff preview. These teams are likely going to be in the first round, but Florida's roster is going to look a lot different in a couple of days. Injuries are the biggest reason why the Panthers have scuffled since the trade deadline. Their players are starting to come back, but a couple big names will be out tonight. Matthew Tkachuk was injured in the Four Nations face-off of a groin injury, but he should be back for Game 1. Aaron Ekblad is set to return from his 20-game suspension in Game 3. Couple that with the fact that the Panthers are going for a stretch of games where they played 9 times in 15 different days. And you can see 9 times in 15 days, you can see why this isn't going to be a best-on-best matchup. But there's usually enough animosity between the two franchises to spark some fun. The Lightning did their best outing in a week, and they're looking to build on that. They're also looking to find the right combination of lineups without Oliver Bjorkstrand, as he is out week to week. Even if the teams are playing at half speed, Florida will get the new lines a good defensive test. And the offense might have disappeared over the last month. The Panthers are still one of, if not the best defensive teams in the league. For the Bolts, their division title is still in sight. The Lightning should be all the more motivated to win this. The trick will be to turn that motivation to execution or to pick up more points. This could be one where they can push the pace. Florida thrives on the defensive side, but they do not like defending in transition. If the Bolts can catch them flat-footed, this is where the Panthers will have to be careful, because the Bolts' power play is still one of the most lethal in the league for 26.3% conversion rate. Drawing penalties from an aggressive Panther squad could be the golden ticket, as Florida has totaled 819 penalty minutes on the season. Tampa's offenses look like they've been, well, in the most common point for them, struck by lightning. They rallied to beat the Buffalo Sabres 7-4 in their last game, scoring 20 goals in their last 5. And even though Andrei Vasilevsky has lost his last 2 games, he hasn't been perfect this season, but if he gets a start, he has the experience and know-how to shut the door when it matters the most. If Vats get out and net front pressure and keep the Panthers to the outside, the Lightning can storm their way to the win. The Panthers have the kind of lineup that feels like it was assigned in a lab to annoy opponents. Physical, relentless, and effective when it comes to puck retrieval. Sam Reinhart has shown up and is leading the team in points, and Alexander Barkov still provides that two-way balance as a point in 4 of his last 5 games, despite the Panthers locking up the free seed, the Atlantic. Florida's success starts with their aggressive forechecking. Grind out the defense, force turnovers, and make every zone exit feel like a trip through airport security. Sergei Bobrovsky needs to have a bounce back. He allowed 5 goals this last game, and the Bolts have too many weapons to sit back. So Bobrovsky's positioning and rebound control are going to be key in this game. So go on to our starting lineups, beginning with the visiting Florida Panthers. Their lineup looks like this: Carter Verhaeghe, Alexander Barkov, Sam Reinhart on the top line. Evan Rodriguez, Sam Bennett, Jesper Boquist, Rasmus Asplund, Nico Sturm, Jesse Puljujarvi. Rounded out by AJ Greer, Tomas Nosek, and Jonah Gadjevich. Defensive pairings: Gustav Forsling, Uvis Bolinskis, Jacob Megna with Seth Jones, Dmitry Kulikov with Nate Schmidt. Vitek Vanacek will get the start, not Sergei Bobrovsky, as Bobrovsky is going to rest up for the playoffs, being the backup to Vanacek. Scratching the lineup are Brad Marchand, Anton Lundell, Eetu Luostarinen, Maki Samoskevich, Matt Kiersted, and Nico Mikkola. Marchand, Lundell, Luostarinen, Samoskevich, and Mikkola are regulars on the lineups. Kiersted was just a recent call-up. For the Lightning, their lines are like this. They're going for 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. Yanni Gourde, Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov, Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, Jake Gensel, Gage Gonsalves, Nick Paul, Connor Geekie, and the extra forwards are Zemgus Girgensons and Mitchell Chafee. Defensive pairings are Victor Hedman with J.J. Moser, Ryan McDonough with Eric Charnak, Emil Lilleberg with Nick Perbix. Darren Radish is the extra defenseman. Andrei Vasilevsky will get the start. Jonas Johansson is the backup. Bjorkstrand is out week to week with a lower body injury that could keep him out deep into the playoffs. Who knows? Luke Glendening is out with an upper body injury. In the meantime, now what we see here in this slate in the Eastern Conference matchup between the Lightning and the Panthers, we're also going to pay attention to the other matches with playoff implications. Underway are the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Philadelphia Flyers. They're coming into the first intermission. The Utah Hockey Club and the St. Louis Blues will be playing at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Karel Vejmelka will get the start for Utah in a game that matters for St. Louis. Utah's already been eliminated. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Buffalo Sabres playing one another here. They're late in the first period, scoreless. In all likelihood, after one, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Anthony Stolarz, the starters in net. Stolarz is 13 of 13. Luukkonen is 6 of 6. Toronto fighting for the division title. The Chicago Blackhawks sweep the Ottawa Senators 2-1. But that game has no meaning because Ottawa has locked up the first wild card in the Eastern Conference. The Washington Capitals and New York Islanders also a meaningless game because Washington has the top spot in the Eastern Conference all locked up. The Minnesota Wild have a meaningful game against the Anaheim Ducks at 8 Eastern. They'll be getting set to go in just a moment. It is Vanecek in net for Florida. Vasilevsky in net for Tampa. Vanecek 5-13-4 with a 355 GA and an 886 save percentage with one shutout split between the San Jose Sharks and the Florida Panthers. He had 5 goals allowed on 12 shots against Tampa Bay on December 5th when he was a member of the San Jose Sharks. In fairness, that Sharks defense was terrible, but they're rebuilding still. Vasilevsky is third in the NHL at GA of 220, fourth in save percentage at 921. 6 shutouts in the NHL, which ranks second only to Connor Hellebuck. Genso's line is out there to begin this game. It is the Schmidt pairing for Florida, and we're underway. Here we go! The Lightning having Atlantic Division title implications on the line here tonight, and they want to impose themselves as the dominant team here at Tampa Bay on home ice. Over the near side, offside early on. Lostereen slots into the lineup. It'll be Boquist, Rodriguez, Samoskevich on the bottom line. Gadjevich and Asplund as the extra forwards. So it'll be 11 forwards, 7 defensemen for the Panthers. Mikkola and Jones, despite the early projections from the NHL.com. Matt Kiersted slots into the lineup. Sam Reinhart, Alexander Barkov, Anton Lundell, the healthy scratches, as they have rested them. AJ Greer, Tomas Nosek, Gustav Forsling scratching the lineup as well. So Jacob Megna also slots in. And from the far side, it's Brad Marchand. Marchand, who goes back onto the half wall, moving up now. Backhander stopped by Vasilevsky. Goes back behind the net. Bennett tried to center, but that was broken up by Cirelli. And Tampa will take this back up. From the near side, Cirelli will send this one backwards to McDonough. And now Chernak again. These two reunited before the season with McDonough getting reacquired by Tampa in a trade from Nashville. Braden Boy has that shot banked off the stick of a Panther, and it's out of play. A minute free into this first period, and John Cooper, who was a Four Nations Faceoff champion with Team Canada, 4 of his players were selected onto the Four Nations Faceoff rosters. 3 of them were with his fellow Canadian team, Point, Hagel, and Cirelli. Off the faceoff, which is won by Gord, Florida chops this one out, and this could be an early chance on the far side. This is one-on-one. Quick shot stopped by Vasilevsky, and it's directed onto the near corner. Boquist with Hedman on him. Braden Point comes into him and out for the right point. This gets batted on down low. Cycled around the horn, and in the near corner, Rodriguez hands one off, only for it to be bounced off and collected by Tampa Bay. Dumped onto the far side. Here's Braden Point for an early chance. He scores! Just like that, Braden Point strikes quick as lightning. What a pass from Yanni Gort to set it up to find the open Braden Point that was behind the entire defense. Made no mistake and went far side with the shot. A smart shot, and puts on the afterburners to activate up for the rush, with Gore finding him right on the spot. These two familiar with each other in the cup-winning years in 2020 and 2021. His 42nd this season, tied for 5th in the NHL. And Yanni Gord, welcome back to Tampa Bay. He's on a hot run. That's his 13th assist with the Bolts ever since he was reacquired. And now a 2-on-1. Sturm. That handoff was chopped aside from Puljujärvi. And the Bolts will take this one back up for the far side. Backhanding this down deep. And it goes past Vanecek. Connor Geeky tried to recollect this for the Bolts, but that one chopped away and the Panthers will pick it up. And for the far side, Bolinskis will send this one around for the far boards. At the near half boards, Darren Radish is tied up. And right at the far corner, this puck makes its way to a Panther, where it's picked up. Trying to direct this over to the point. At the right side, kept alive here by the Panthers, as it was chopped down low. Gadjevich, right from Gretzky's offense, it bounced up, and Asplund has trouble with the puck. Directed onto the far corner, still spun around. His teammates helping him out as Kiersted will hold it. Both teams scoring for 11 forwards and 7 defensemen as they're resting some key starters. Pass right across over to Kiersted. Wanted to go for the tip in front, didn't find someone. Nate Schmidt holding the zone. Right onto the far corner. This bounced up. Florida with more than 45 seconds of zone time now. And Gergensons working defensively. A high shot from Schmidt that bounced up and out. And finally, Gergensons will clear this one down. The Panthers will glove it down. And they wait with the puck as they send this one back up the horn. Brad Marchand had trouble with the puck. And Vasilevsky plays this one out for Chernak. Gord, who set up point earlier here in this first period. Does Tampa get another chance to move the momentum from the near side? Here comes Brandon Hagel centering one up. And that was blocked away off the stick. Down to near half boards. Rodriguez had some trouble. And ridden up the puck. McDonough will take it back. Ran right into his Chernak. Brick wall on defense. And down goes one at the Lightning. Fans want a penalty here. They will not get any. 3-on-2 as the Panthers go back on the rush. Rodriguez hands off. Going around. Wraparound try. It's bouncing right in front of Vasilevsky. And it's still loose. Vatsy will hang on to it. The Bolts are in the all-black jerseys. As sharp as he can be. Sharp as a knife. Or the breakout. Gord lofts one up across on the backhead. Right onto Point. And Point realized the pass right across as it went by everyone, including Nico Mikkola and Seth Jones, who was caught off guard on the feed. What a shot off the post and inside. And that's one that Vanacek would love to have back. Everyone here hyped up for the playoffs. Going to get some revenge on the Panthers for last year's first round exit in 5 games. Brayden Point. That goal was his 80th point this season. That's his first straight season where he scored at least 80 points. And 4th of his career. Panthers win the faceoff. And a shot for the point from Mikkola stopped by Vasilevsky. Held inside by Mikkola. Tight shots. Spun around for the net. Jones holds it in for the right point. Skirted this one around the horn for Puljujärvi. One timer for Stern. Went over everyone. And it exits out through center and all the way back to the Panther zone. Bjorkstrand's out week to week as he suffered a lower body injury last Friday against the Detroit Red Wings. And that's a huge blow because of Bjorkstrand's clutch goal scoring. Around the horn, this puck is dumped in. And from the far corner, Hedman locating this one for Radish. But the Panthers take it away. Out in front. This finds nobody. And the Panthers will get a penalty against them as Nikita Kucherov went down. Against this Panthers team, you want to be smart in drawing penalties. But also at the same time, you do not want to be agitated by them. It'll be Mikkola heading to the box. Interference minor against Mikkola. And the Lightning will head to the power play. It's the one thing that the Panthers do not want. In the final week of the regular season, Kucherov, smart and drawing the penalty. So it'll be an interference penalty against Mikkola. He'll sit for 2 minutes. And a chance to extend the lead here to 2-0. The Lightning are 6-for-10 on the power play for the last 4 games. Sent across. Kucherov. Stick lift right in front as Hagel will direct it back. Point. From the spot that Stamkos made famous, this is bounced off of Vanacek and it comes back to Point. Off the shot from Hedman. A shove. And Brandon Hagel gets forced out. Panthers clear it all the way down the ice. And it looks like one of the Lightning players are slow to get up. It may be okay for the most part. Kucherov down for the far side. Directs this one on the inside. Gensel from the near half boards sends it back over to Kucherov. Kucherov is looking. That pass mishandled. And the Panthers will get this one down for the ice. Hedman moves it up. It's Hagel. The Panthers penalty kill at 80.8%. They have killed 9 straight penalties against the Lightning. Hagel across the line for Gensel. Gensel shut off by Bolinskis. Kucherov will look to get this down low, but can't. Point keeps it alive. Kucherov closes in. And it's forced out onto the near corner. Set to Point. And it comes back to Kucherov as it bounces up. Hedman able to keep this one in the zone. Hedman fakes out Marchand. Hedman finds Kucherov, and Point is all tied up. He has to find someone. Drops it back over to Hedman. Kucherov's one-timer deflected by Hagel. And now this round stopped and out for the Panthers to clear this one down. Vasilevsky. This Tampa Bay power play ever so dangerous. They can strike with precision with any of their lethal weapons. Even with the loss of Mikhail Sergachev in the offseason. Cirelli speeds in. Nick Paul will get it back over to Cirelli for a tight window. Bounced over to the far boards. Gord, Gonzalez, Radish. Bounced up. And Gord keeps this one alive through the near corner for Paul. Paul, one of the better defensive forwards on Tampa, has it dispossessed from him. And here's Jones, who shoots this one softly to Vasilevsky. And everyone will go for a change. Radish all tied up as the Panthers trying to play this one shorthanded. And Marchand gets leveled as the penalty expires. Mikko is out of the box. Back to 5-on-5 as the Lightning re-enter 4-on-3. Here's Gonzalez who waits, but an offside is signaled with 13:31 to go in the opening frame. Thunderbug is so pumped up for the playoffs, and so are the rest of the Lightning fans. Are you ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs? They begin this Saturday, along with the second slate, the NBA playoffs, as the NBA play-in tournament has just begun tonight. We'll be right back in just a moment. It is 1-0 Lightning as they're still in the chase for the Atlantic Division. We'll keep an eye on the Atlantic Division standings and the live score between the Maple Leafs and the Sabres. After one, there's no score between them as both goaltenders showed their luster. Brad Marchand, who was injured in last year's bout when he was a member of the Boston Bruins against the Florida Panthers. He was injured on a shove by Sam Bennett, and now he's still reunited here in the Miami metro area. Vasilevsky leads it out for Ryan McDonough, and this long stretch pass missed everyone. It will be iced. Marchand was traded at the deadline just minutes before to the Panthers for just a conditional second-round pick. He said that this was the only destination he wanted to go, and he has embraced the city's culture. How ironic that the very guy who people nicknamed the Rat is joining a team in which the secondary mascot is a rat. And the rat trick Scott Mellamy shot in the locker room that killed a rat. And when he scored, that's when the legend started. Marchand from Bennett. Very ironic these two are on the same line right now. Marchand tied up at the far half boards. It bounces up through. Kept in. Marchand tried to center, but that was a slow-moving puck. Chafee wants to clear and does. Lightning tried to go for changes, and they will change up the defensive pairs. It'll be wholesale changes now. Holding on to it now is Schmidt. Nate Schmidt sends this from the near boards. Handled by Vasilevsky and places on its backhand for Hedman. Hedman places behind over to Darren Radish. Off the boards, this gets deflected out, and the Panthers will look to restart. From the left point, sent around by Samoskevich. And from the far corners, this takes a bounce. Samoskevich couldn't handle this one. Radish could. And it's to the near side. It's Kucherov centering one off for point. Twists and throws a backhand pass over to Gord. Gord wanted to go for point, but it gets intercepted by Evan Rodriguez. Rodriguez across for Jones. Jones will just loft this from the penalty box doors around as Vasilevsky is out to play this behind his crease. Darren Radish, brother of Taylor Radish. Darren has been a career AHLer until he came up as a depth defenseman. He's been thriving on the second power play unit. Bounced up several times. It's picked up now by Gonzalez. Saved. The rebound was blocked off. Vanacek had the initial save. His defense helped him out the second one. All the way around, Gonzalez left this one behind over to Lilleberg. Emil Lilleberg gets twisted and twirled as the Panthers hold the zone. Bolinski's long straightaway shot. Loose stick at the crease. And this gets a feed right behind for Sturm. Help kept alive here. 4 Lightning players have sticks. Rebound. Chance in front. Vasilevsky made the initial stop there. This rebound sent over to the far corner. Luxarina tried to center. The Lightning were all over that and clear it. And now Bolinski's will look to reset. Uvis Bolinski's from the red line. Shoots this one in. Foot race for the puck won by Lilleberg. As he feeds it behind for Moser. J.J. Moser. Through the near side for Perbix. And now moving up on a foot pass. Sent inside on a one-touch. Chafee. It's stopped up. The Panthers swing the way of 5 shots against the Lightning's free. Long stretch pass. No icing. But yes, they will call it an icing. 10:45 to go here in this first period. Or actually, Vasilevsky held this one. And he covered up. So my mistake. The Lightning will get their extra forwards out onto the ice. The chrome helmets. Zemgus Girgensons, J.J. Moser, 2 of the players out there. And on Thursday, Thursday stats depends on playoff implications. Between Columbus, Calgary, St. Louis, Minnesota, or Montreal. Tomorrow's game between the Hurricanes and the Canadiens comes down to, it may decide the final wild card spot. Montreal must get at least 1 point to clinch the playoffs. The Hurricanes have called up Skylar Brindamore, Rod Brindamore's son, from the AHL in advance of this game, as the Hurricanes are planning on resting starters. Dumped out onto the neutral zone, Kierstead handling this one. Sent up front, and one of the bolts goes down, gets back up onto his feet. Bennett sends one over to Carter Verhaeghe. Return feed for Bennett, didn't go all the way through. It bounced off a skate and cleared. Scooped back up by Kierstead as the Panthers are restarting with the puck. Dmitry Kulikov waits. Some timeout and on for the far side. Sends this one around the horn. Vasilevsky slows it down. Played it dangerously into traffic. And Vasilevsky got back onto a crease. Brad Marchand was there. Verhaeghe touches this one. Was offside. So we'll have a face-off just outside the zone. So Utah and St. Louis beginning soon enough. Anaheim and Minnesota as well. Those two playing at the same time, albeit not against each other. Both the Blues and the Wild are playing their final games of the regular season. For the Flames, it is the penultimate game of the regular season. They have one more on Thursday at Los Angeles. Slapped inside off the faceoff, Jake Gensel picks it up. Both directly behind, and a long stretch pass all the way for center was blocked out by Bolinski's. Bolinski's is turned around, but gets some help right behind from Nate Schmidt. On the far side, a takeaway here for the Bolts as they walk back inside the zone. Here comes Jake Gensel, ripping one, and that's stopped by Vanacek. Another chance was blocked off, and it will be held inside on the right near boards, but an error pass to Chernak gets it all the way out. The Bolts want to get this back up through the zone. Brandon Hagel restarts for Chernak, and now here's McDonough. Line change here as the Bolts get their top line out. Another drop pass for Chernak as they look to get their strategies going. Pass deflected inside as Vanacek comes out to play this one onto the near corner, and the Panthers rushing towards this puck, but up ahead that one was Nick Perbix, away from Samoskevich. Puck bounced out to center. Kucherov finds Yanni Gord, who gloves this one down. Face a trailer. Kucherov, who makes a nifty move to his backhand, and then right in front for point. He was tied up on the shot. And this one goes over to Mikkola, who feeds Sam Reinhart up front. Or I don't think that's Reinhart. And now Jesper Boquist gets tied up along the boards. That was Evan Rodriguez, not Reinhart, pardon me. From the right point, Kulikov tried to keep this one in, but couldn't do it. Kulikov shielding his way from the puck. Rink wide to Kiersted. And now back up for Rodriguez. Rodriguez from the penalty box door sends this one inside. Vasilevsky from the near hash to Moser. Moser's long touch pass, and the lead passes behind the defense for Gonzalez. The save, no rebound. Off the pad of Vanacek. Not a high danger chance, but Gonzalez is having a big breakthrough with the Lightning, seeing more consistent ice time. When he was sent out to the AHL before the Four Nations face-off break to get more minutes, that revamped his confidence and was one of the first players that Julian Brisebois called up from the Syracuse Crunch. As this one goes out of play, 7 goals for Gage Gonzalez since March 1st. 1 goal in February, though. We'll come back. We'll see if he's on the board or if the Panthers can tie it up. With 8 minutes and 8 seconds to go in the first period, it is still a 1-0 Lightning lead thanks to Braden Point. The second period is started between the Maple Leafs and the Sabres. We'll keep an eye on that game because this is a game in which the Lightning need to win a regulation to keep their Atlantic Division title hopes alive. The Maple Leafs need at least just at least 1 point to quit the Atlantic Division, which would be their first division title in a while, not counting the 2021 COVID-shortened year in which they won the North Division. A nice pass from Yanni Gourde, and Braden Point stepping up here for Tampa Bay. He's been going strong here for his 9th season now. The Panthers tonight have allowed a goal of Seth Jones and Nico Mikkola on the ice, which is just the second time at 5-on-5 this season that they've allowed a goal with those two at the same pairing. Off some stick lifts 2-on-2, but that was canceled out by Schmidt. And this loose puck could not be picked up. Mitchell Chaffee will take this from the near boards. Point is 139 goals in his last 3 seasons, which ranks 4th in the NHL in that span. But they'll have to wait to have another as the Panthers are tying everyone up on the Lightning. And Lilleberg will pick this one up. Chased by Sturm. And from the far boards, the Panthers keep this one holding the zone. Tight shot fired around. And for the left point, it is Schmidt. Keep this one alive onto the far corner. Back at the far corner, it is Tampa Bay trying to get this puck, and they will, on the opposite corner. They tried to clear, but this bounce up a Panther, stay in the zone. Wholesale changes for Florida as Sam Bennett comes onto the ice. A stick lift from Chaffee, and this one directed out of harm's way. Bolinski's on his backhand directs this one out onto the benches. 7:06 to go as Zemgus Girgensons, the former Buffalo Sabre, wants to have a taste of victory here with the Lightning. The Lightning searching for their third Stanley Cup in 6 years, which will join the Chicago Blackhawks and Detroit Red Wings as two of the most recent teams to win 3 Stanley Cups in 6 years. 7 minutes to go as this bounced onto the near half boards, and now a scuffle. Jacob Megna and Eric Chernak got into one another. There are some disagreements with them. The gloves have not been dropped. Only Megna's gloves are dropped, but Chernak's not willing to fight back. So it's going to be coincidental minors for roughing. These two have to be separated as they are directed onto the box. Our referees, Garrett Rank and Dan O'Rourke. Linesman, Brad Kovacic, Johnny Murray. A 4-minute double minor for roughing on Erik Cernak, as he was the instigator behind all this mess. So he initiated this low scrum, but he's going to be kept in the box for 4 minutes. Magna gets 2. But Cernak gets an added minor. As he was the instigator behind all of this. And we have some guys having some Cernak heads on the crowd. Panthers are headed to the power play. Seth Jones will be the de facto power play quarterback, as he has done so with the Chicago Blackhawks. A lot of power play goes for the Lightning as Seth Jones gets set. Then back across over to the far side for Marchand. Jones holds the left point, and now Marchand again. Around for Bennett. Parked behind the net at Gretzky's office. Bennett twisted and turned with Moser right on him, tried to wrap this one around. Vasilevsky was having none of that. Samoskevich flips it around over to the far corner for Marchand, and then finds Rodriguez. Rodriguez to Jones on this makeshift Panther power play. As a lot of players are being rested here, Rodriguez sends it over to Jones. Jones rips it, and a save by Vasilevsky. Seth Jones all alone at the top slot, and Vasilevsky shut it down. Perfect execution by the Panthers on this man advantage early here, trying to rip it through a screen. But Vasilevsky was not fooled, as he saw that Jones was all alone and screened by Brandon Hagel. Right idea for both clubs. The Lightning cleared down with the 7th ranked penalty kill in the NHL. Panthers have the 12th ranked power play. 23.9% power play numbers for the Panthers, 81% the penalty killing numbers for the Lightning. Jones for Bennett. Sam Bennett sends it over to the far side for Rodriguez, and then back across as this one's sent down through the distance, and Vitek Vanacek will reset. As someone closing in on him, he defers it over to Jones. He did the smart thing. Jones puts it up for Marchand, and now drop it for Rodriguez. Rodriguez whipped it around for the far boards. Vasilevsky slowing the play down onto the far side. This bounced up off of Samoskevich, and the Lightning will control this one down for the far boards. 1-on-1 they take it. Around Jones. Waiting against Gensel with 40 seconds on the penalty. Samoskevich chopped it back, and Jones will restart. He may have to go for a change as the second unit is starting to take its shape. Jones, end of his shift, going to Jesse Puljujärvi. Puljujärvi around the far boards, sends it around over to the far side, or the near side. Puljujärvi whipped one towards the goal. Vasilevsky to save, and the Lightning send this one down once again with 15 left. Restarting against Nate Schmidt. Schmidt activates up with 10 seconds. Schmidt from center ice deflected this one on for the near corner, was picked up by Verhaeghe. Verhaeghe to the opposite point, nobody there, and now run down the penalty. We're back to 5-on-5, but we still have the double minor that's active for Erik Cernak. One shot on the last power play for the Panthers. Moving up for the ice, it is Schmidt. Long stretch pass, it takes a bounce, and it's sent over to Vasilevsky towards his left. Flips it on his back end over to Kucherov. Kucherov almost turned it over, and the Lightning are back inside here. 3-on-2 with options. Point. One-timer. Score! Connor Geekie! His second goal in as many games ever since he got recalled from the Syracuse Crunch. He's on the board now. It's 2-0. It ends up being a 3-on-2 after the initial 2-on-2. If Kucherov setting it up, Victor Hedman from the far side. Setting up stage here with the numbers. Hedman controls the play from the left circle. As soon as he drops to the point saw that there was no shooting option from the top slot, so he defers it over to Geekie. And he blasts one from the right circle for his 8th career NHL goal. His second in as many games. 4:30 to go here in this first period, as we get back up in action here with Cirelli trying to tie up his man. Down in front for Hagel. It gets scooted around, and the Panthers clear this one. Moving into Tampa territory as Bennett on his backhand tried to feed it for Verhaeghe down low but was cut off. Verhaeghe against his former team can't find anything. Genge, the 11th pick in the 2022 NHL Draft, 8 goals in 51 games. Bennett tried to play this one on his backhand, but the Lightning stuffed that one away. And now a whistle here. And look, preparation for Genge ahead of the playoffs. How's about this for this kid? Penalty coming up. We'll be right back in just a moment. I'm Alex Nava. The Lightning lead 2-0. Final 3:58 the first period. The Lightning lead 2-0 thanks to Braden Point and Connor Genge. Point was responsible for both goals. Point scoring the first one. From the left circle off the feed from Yanni Gourde. Point was the one setting up Genge's goal. From the right circle, which he blasted a one-timer past Vitek Vanacek. You remember Sergei Bobrovsky is the backup tonight as the Panthers are resting him up in preparation for the playoffs. Now what a shot it is on the right circle from Genge, who the Lightning acquired from the Utah Hockey Club in the Sergachev trade. It is a penalty against the Panthers. Sam Bennett, 2 for high sticking. So now the Lightning will get another crack on this man advantage. How do they fare against this Panther penalty kill? The Panthers have established themselves as a premier defensive team under Paul Maurice. Eetu Luostarinen, Nico Sturm, Seth Jones, and Nico Mikkola on the ice. It's Hagel, Point, Guentzel, Kucherov, and Hedman. One-timer Kucherov bounced off of Vanacek, and Kucherov broke his stick. He'll have to go for a new one. Hedman was frustrated at that one, so Kucherov picks it up, gets a new twig, as the Panthers clear it down. Kucherov will restart with the puck, has Hedman with him. The Panthers killed off 10 straight penalties against the Lightning as Kucherov drops it all the way back for Point, who speeds all the way up. Guentzel will look for Hedman at the right point, finds him. Now a cross feed for Hagel, who directs it around on the whip around pass for Kucherov. Back for Guentzel, who's behind the net. Over to Hagel. Hedman fakes the drive, and he fumbled on the shot. And Mikkola will clear this one all the way down. Vasilevsky playing this one towards his right and leaving it for Darren Radish as the second unit comes out. Dropped off for Hagel as he speeds ahead. Hagel will drop again for Point. Point stopped his tracks. Hagel lost at the puck, and now the Panthers come back here. Potential 2-on-1. They hurry. Marchand holds onto it, fires it, and it hit the side of the cage. Loose stick is on the ice. And it looks like an interference penalty against the Lightning. So that will end this man advantage. Oh, 2 penalties. Hagel gets one for interference and another for unsportsmanlike conduct. This is what rivalry games and are usually about. So initially, Braden Point gets taken down and gets tripped up. And Point is shaking his head. Hagel interfered with Sam Bennett. And the midsection, or actually it's not Sam Bennett, at the midsection of Nico Sturm. And the extra shove was uncalled for from Hagel. And that's what warranted 2 penalties here. The 4-on-4 we go here for 52 seconds. before the Panthers get a minute and 8 seconds of power play time. Unless they go with 3 minutes and 8 seconds of power play time based on the 2 penalties. The 4-on-4 here with 52 seconds. Bounced up off the face-off. The Panthers will take it. Schmidt. Nate Schmidt holds on to it at the left point and then scoops it up. Now back for Schmidt on the return feed. Sent out in front. That bounced off the body. And the Lightning will scoop it up. Skate this one down with numbers. 2-on-2, maybe 3-on-2 if they hurry up. For the far side, Nick Paul gets twisted. And the Panthers will back check and backtrack as Gage Gonzalez picks it up. Knocked down on midair, Nick Paul. Back across as this is mishandled once, but is kept inside. Gonzalez cycling around, but takes it back out. 15 seconds now on the 4-on-4 before we get to a Panther power play. Lilleberg checks out. Gonzalez will get to the bench as the Lightning controlling the puck on the backhand, flipped up forward, and it's moved for Cirelli. Anthony Cirelli drops it back. Return feed doesn't go all the way through. And it is a 3-minute, 8-second power play for the Panthers because Hagel has 2 penalties. Out in front, one-timer score! Jake Gensel, shorthanded, just as the Panther power play started, and it's 3-0. An unfortunate break for Seth Jones at the near corner as he blew a tire when trying to control the puck for this power play. And Anthony Cirelli took full advantage of it, of the fact that Jones blew a tire, slipped up. Cirelli takes the puck away, feeds it on the backhand for Gensel. Florida stays on the power play. They'll have 2 minutes and 55 seconds now. 41st goal this season for Gensel. His 11th shorthanded goal this season with Tampa Bay. 3rd in the NHL in that department as the Bolts clear it down. So not only did the Lightning get an important goal as well, they're still in position to take the Atlantic Division. We'll have some live updates from Toronto and Buffalo. Evan Rodriguez sends this one through on the scoop. Sam Bennett chopped aside as Sam Miskevich trying to handle this one. Bennett cleared down by Gord. To get the live update from Toronto. Still scoreless between them and Buffalo. You remember to need at least 1 point to clinch the Atlantic Division. Nate Schmidt through the far side. Jesse Puljujärvi sends this one all the way around, and Vasilevsky places this one towards the left side. Schmidt down low for Luostarinen, who is forced backwards. To the far corner for Bolinskis. Bolinskis is all tied up by Hedman, and Luostarinen will force it all the way to Schmidt. Back out of the near corner is Luostarinen. Puljujärvi. Schmidt one more time, walking the point, pivoting. Now over Hagee. Verhaeghe has a knack for the clutch. He decides to pirouette and then spin back in front as Gensel was after him. Puljujärvi backhands this one aside. Nobody was there at the far half boards, and Tampa will flip this one up front with 25 left in the period. Gensel waits with it, and he'll send it back. Lightning and Panthers going for a change, and this one cleared down onto center, picked back up by Schmidt at center ice. Schmidt waits, protects, and Bolinskis be the receiving end of it. Bennett goes after the puck. This bounces behind Vasi. And over the near corner, waiting for the puck, was Girgensons. And this could not be held inside, but the Panthers have to clear. And the Panthers will still be on the power play after 1 period. But it's 3-0 Tampa Bay. The Panthers already having clinched the 3rd seed in the Atlantic Division. With pride to play for. But once we get onto the first intermission report, we'll have a live look-in of the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Buffalo Sabres, along with checkups on other games of playoff caliber matchups. Plus, some updates from the NBA play-in tournament between the Orlando Magic and the Atlanta Hawks. I am Alec Nava. Well, we return, and it's the first intermission report in just a moment. We're in the first intermission report. I am Alec Nava. The Lightning lead it 3-0 here in the Battle of Florida. What could be a first-round preview between these two. However, the Panthers are resting several of their players, including Alexander Barkov and Sam Reinhart. Matthew Tkachuk is still on the LTIR with that groin injury he suffered in the Four Nations faceoff. So, the scoring summary as of right now. Braden Point from Yanni Gourde and J.J. Moser at 1:32 at the first. Connor Geekie from Point and Victor Hedman, 15:25 at the first. Jake Gensel, shorthanded from Anthony Cirelli, 18:09 at the first. Andrei Vasilevsky, a perfect 7-7. Vitek Vanacek, 5 of 8. The Panthers will have carryover power play time in the second period. And shots are 8-7 Tampa Bay. Hits are 15-4 Panthers. So despite the Lightning outscoring the Panthers being the visibly more physical team. Faceouts are 11-7 Panthers. And total penalties, 4-3 Lightning. 8-6 the penalty minutes in favor of the Lightning. Not the stat that you want to lead. Block shots, 3-2 Panthers. 1-0 takeaways for the Panthers. 5-3 giveaways Panthers. As we look all around, everything seems to favor the Lightning as they're getting the better of the chances. But the Panthers, they've hung with the Lightning at some points. At 6:14 at the second period, the Toronto Maple Leafs are still deadlocked at 0-0 against the Buffalo Sabres. So going right at it over at KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. So we're going to take a live look in here. The Maple Leafs need just 1 point to quit the Atlantic Division. So as it is, Buffalo and Toronto fired 17 and 15 shots respectively. The Lightning need 2 regulation losses from the Maple Leafs, and the Lightning, they also need to win out at least one of them in regulation to take the Atlantic Division. It's still open in their grasp. Scott Laughton sets up one-timer score! Here it is, Steven Lorentz gets the Maple Leafs on the board. And there you go. If you look about potential playoff previews, if Toronto quits the Atlantic, it'll be them and the Ottawa Senators in the first round. In other such cases, the Lightning, if they quit the Atlantic, they'll face the Senators. If the Maple Leafs quit the Atlantic, they'll face the Senators. Whoever is the lesser of the two teams, who finishing at number 2 in the Atlantic, will face the Panthers in the first round and have home ice advantage over either one of those two teams. And as for that, so that is the first goal of this game, with the Maple Leafs getting on the board on the Sabres here at Buffalo. Steven Lorentz on a one-timer on the top of the slot. What an effort. And it comes with around 6 minutes to go. If you want to know about carrying the puck and how guys are operating smoothly, talk about Nikita Kucherov, who could be in line for his third Art Ross trophy. And there has to be a serious discussion about him being in the Hockey Hall of Fame at some point. He and Andrei Vasilevsky. You can include Victor Hedman and Braden Point in this discussion too. Maybe Steven Stamkos. Aim for him leaving Tampa and heading to Nashville after serving as the Lightning's captain. So a backhander was knocked away by Luukkonen off of either Lorentz or Yarncroke, but I'm not sure who is who. The numbers are all too similar. Carlo fires it in, and Buffalo's get this back up. Dahlin is tied up, and this bounces on through center. Race for the puck is picked up by Toronto. Now for the near half boards, William Nylander gets forced around by Alex Tuch, who is in the midst of trade deadline speculations, but was not moved to the deadline. Luukkonen out to play this, in a chase for this puck with John Tavares in pursuit. Matthias Samuelsson off the far boards, moved up for Krebs. Krebs, hand off right circle, shot kicked out by Stolars, and no rebound as Toronto was able to get this one away. Tavares, with 3:55 left in the second period, Tavares waits patiently, moves it up for the far side, and then gets this one down for the ice. Dahlin twisted and turned Tavares like a rag doll. And the Sabres go back 3-on-2 through the other way. They'll hold on to this one as they take it across. Set up pass down low, right out in front. One-timers gobbled up by Stolars. Jack Quinn gets shut down. What a turn of events here at the 7-1-6. Just halfway through the intermission report, to take a look at some of the other games, including the two main games that are going on right now for playoff positioning. So the Wild and Blues are both each up 1-0. If either of these two win, then that means the Flames' playoff hopes are over. If both of them win, the Flames' playoff hopes are over. Marcus Johansson from Matt Zuccarello and Jake Middleton on the first goal for the Wild. And for the Blues, it's 1-0 St. Louis as they're leading the Utah Hockey Club. Braden Shen from Jimmy Snuggerud and Pavel Buchnevich, and now Buchnevich has scored as he was set up by Jake Neighbors. Snuggerud, another piece of the future for St. Louis. Neighbors as well. But Snuggerud, the latest addition to this young core. The goal of Zach Bolduc, who arrived this season. What a promising young core St. Louis has along for the future, but defense has to be the priority. They trade away Scott Perunovich to the New York Islanders, and Tyler Tucker is more to do with a shutdown defensive type. And getting over to the topic of the NBA, as the play-in tournament is underway, the Orlando Magic lead the Atlanta Hawks 57-38. The Magic are blowing them out, stifling defense as they do. 7 seed implications on the horizon. If the Magic win this, they'll face the Boston Celtics, the 2nd seed in the East. And the Hawks are cut to within 16. Nothing's over until it is over. So far leading the way is Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr., Cole Anthony, and Anthony Black. Trae Young, of course, leading the Atlanta Hawks as he normally is. That's the first of 2 games in the play-in tournament. The other game being the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies. So it's a 1-0 game between the Maple Leafs and the Sabres. Getting a live look in as it's bounced around off of Simon Benoit. Up at the far side, here is Mitch Marner in pursuit. Jacob Bryson tried to stick it away. Lawrence, Marner's tied up. Bryson beats it over, and it bounced up as Chris Tanev holds his own. Up at the far side, Bryson intercepts, but turns it back over. Spinning is Yarncroke. Yarncroke getting it back down low for Lawrence. Lawrence will look around, finds a man over the near corner. Then back around, here's Lawrence one more time. Gets jostled off the puck and is taken out the near corner, but holding the zone is Phil Myers. One-timer from deep. Bounced up. Lawrence turned around once again. Bryson takes it away for the Sabres. 2:45 to go here in this game at Buffalo. And a takeaway here off the turnover. Matthews gets inside. Turnaround pass up to the slot. Matthews fires. And that one stopped by Luukkonen. At the near corner, it is Nye who's tied up. And then another one-timer. Marner gets rejected. Sweeping clear off of Bryson. And here's Matthews once more holding the zone. Here's Myers. That shot was blocked. And as it takes a bounce off Paterka, Myers able to hold the zone. Up at the far half boards. The Leafs holding it again. Matthews again. Luukkonen got a piece. Myers again. The Leafs continue to hold his own. Matthews tucks it and could not find a small hole. Sabres just cleared off the edge of their teeth. And Myers will find Morgan Riley. And as the whistle is blown, that is where we'll end the intermission report. When we come back, the Lightning lead the Panthers 3-0, but they'll have to kill off some more penalty time. The Golden Knights and the Flames are warming up right now. Everyone's getting set to get back onto the ice. I'm Alec Nava. The second period is next. Another game on the horizon. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they lead 2-0 after 2 against the Philadelphia Flyers. They've never won against Philadelphia this season. But they've never won against Philadelphia this season in regulation. They must win in regulation to continue the story. Columbus's only win against the Flyers was a shootout win 3-2 on January the 14th. Goal scoring Dante Fabro from Zach Werenski and Sean Monahan. Kent Johnson on the power play from Monahan and Werenski. So the story aligns perfectly for Columbus. You make Johnny Hockey proud. He's watching from above. If there's one guy on the Lightning that's pressuring everybody else when the Panthers are on the power play, that is J.J. Moser, who has elevated his game as a defensive partner next to Victor Hedman, and he's doing so effectively, wearing the number 90. And he's wearing it in the black jersey now. Point Geeky Gensel. The goals for Tampa Bay here in the first period. Vanecek his last 4 games against the Bolts, 16 goals allowed on 80 shots. That's an .800 save percentage flat. Ouch. Second period's underway. Lightning have first touch as they're moved from right to left, Panthers from left to right, as is the case at their home arenas. In the second and overtime, Seth Jones waits, and he'll defer this one up as he sends it over far side. 50 seconds left on the power play for the Bolts as Brad Marchand carries it over on his backhand to the top of the right circle. Cross-ice pass intercepted. Here goes Anthony Cirelli for partial break. Cirelli, curl and drag, kicked up by Vanecek. And connecting on that pass is Gensel as he wanted to go back to Cirelli. Bennett leads it up for Sam Miskevich. Now back for Marchand. Brad Marchand inside the zone. Jostled up the puck on the dump-in. And picking it back up is Lilleberg. Up through is Cirelli. And he clears it again. And Brandon Hagel is set to come out the box in 15 seconds. Vanecek leaving it behind for Schmidt. Nate Schmidt looks to drop it or looks to fire it around. And he does so through the far side of the boards. Puljujärvi lifts a stick. Moser gets jostled at the puck on the bump. The Bolts have it. And Hagel comes out the box. They enter the zone. His Paul goes to the back end. Out of forehand for Girgensons as he's turned away by Vanecek. He's out of his crease. And the Panthers move it up. A bump. And now risks the Panthers at the puck. That was Puljujärvi. Little bump and run as the Lightning go back in this. But immediately they get intercepted on the pass. The Bolts keep it in though. And for the far half board, centering it up. On the trailer, it is Hedman. Hedman fires. Shot it high. And rounds around to the right point as Moser kept it in. Pass for Hagee. And around to the opposite boards. Near side is Hedman. Bounced up on the one-timer from Hagel off a stick. And for the far half boards, it's Greer who kept this one around for Verhaeghe. Uvis Molinski lofts this from the near half boards. And the Lightning will restart for their own zone as Hedman scoots it up. And now here's Hagel with a lot of speed onto the top of the right circle. Feeds it behind for Kucherov who mishandled the puck. Long shot was blocked in front. And the Panthers go back with this free-on-free. Entering the zone is taking a high shot, which is gloved down by Vasilevsky with ease. Our first whistle here is Dmitry Kulikov took the last shot for the Panthers in his second stint with Florida. This was the first team that he spent his time with. He's been around the NHL with the New Jersey Devils, the Edmonton Oilers, the Winnipeg Jets, as some of the previous teams that he has played for. The Lightning tried to reestablish themselves as the face of the Battle of Florida. They have won 2 of the first 3 meetings between these two teams. Florida had home ice advantage in the first 3 times. Tampa may be swayed to have home ice advantage this time around as Kulikov kept this one around. On the keep in, a stick lift on Perbix. Tight shot right in front. Vasilevsky shuts the door of free stops. Wow. How much does he do in high pressure environments like these? Out in front, the pass gets intercepted by Point as he speeds up here, up for the right side. Point slowing down. Now up for Paul. Now back for Geeky. Geeky across. That was actually Gonsalves and not Point. Nick Paul, and he tied up, he escapes to the puck. Paul fires it short side. Vanecek is there. Bouncing puck gets cleared out by the Panthers, and they use the boards to get this one down the ice. Out in front, this is backhanded from Lilleberg. And for the far half boards, Radish sends it up for the far side of the ice. And the Panthers will scoop it up at the far corner. They walk up with this. And they move it. Off the near half boards. Not a misfire as Vasilevsky's out to play, which cancels out any form of icing. McDonough for the outlet. And there was nothing. The Panthers win the foot race with Jacob Megna icing. The last 5 Stanley Cup final appearances among Eastern Conference teams come from one of these two Florida teams. Tampa Bay in the first 3 years of this decade. Florida in the last 2 seasons. The Panthers made here as the last seeded team in the Stanley Cup final. The 16th seed. Only the 3rd time this has done so, but it's the 3rd in the last decade. Joined the Nashville Predators in 2017 and the Montreal Canadiens in 2021. Bumped around to the far half boards as Florida is in trouble. Looking to get around here as Sam Bennett joins the tango up. The Lightning escape with his one-timer from deep. Bounced up and high over Vanacek. Keeping his own as McDonough. Chafee gets twisted and turned. Gord is after it as he chopped at it. Chafee in front. Vanacek held the left post. And he'll cover up. We're nearly 4 minutes into the second period. Take a look into our other 2 games. The Maple Leafs and Sabres are in the second intermission. Blue Jackets and Flyers as well. Blues and Utah. Blues lead 3-0. Ducks and Wild tied at 1. So there may be hope for the Flames after all. So this is icing. Off the face-off, it's Point winning it. Then moving up front is Radish. Bumped at the far corner. Keeps a hold of the puck through several checks. Gord still tangling up his man. And escaping with his Point. Now Gord who gets twisted and turned. Point still holding on to this puck. But escaping with his Rodriguez, who gets leveled right behind the net. Rodriguez tries to feed it out and does, but gets dispossessed immediately. Hedman bounced up as he retreats it over to Hagel. Kucherov moves back in. Shot is blocked. And it's recollected by Boquist. That was Seth Jones with the block. Bounced onto the right point as it's held inside. Hedman, big blast! And that was wide to net. Through the far half boards, Hedman's official shot tallied in at 89 miles an hour. Point on the hold, he scored. Top of the slot, one-timer score! Kucherov with a Kucher bomb right beside the cage. It's 4-0. Yanni Gord, who was picked up at the trade deadline, will get at another setup here. This time it's Kucherov, who finds a smart lane for Kucherov, who's positioned at the side of Vanacek's crease. Nothing that Vanacek could do as he thought that Gord was going to shoot it. Gord soaked the shot and redirects traffic over to Kucherov, who was waiting at the side of his cage. And almost 5 minutes into this period, Kucherov has his 37th goal this season. His 120th point this season, looking to lock up the Art Ross trophy. This bounces up and a tangle up right in front of the crease as Connor Geekie is able to hold it. 4 goals from as many different players for Tampa as the Cooch chants are here. Kucherov trying to lock up his 3rd Art Ross trophy and possibly win the Hart. Who knows? On the near side, this gets bounced up through the penalty box doors, and the Lightning will restart. Nick Perbix calmly skates his way through the near side, bouncing this one up as the Panthers will restart with Kierstead. Kierstead out for the far boards, and then up for the near side. Here comes a 2-on-1 break. Here's Brad Marchand here in Tampa. He scores! Brad Marchand with the Panthers on the board now. They got 1, but they need 3 more to even this one up. Brad Marchand, the Rat, scores for the Rats on a 2-on-1 rush as everyone gets caught on a 2-on-1 rush. Cirelli is late to the play, so is Chernak, and Marchand has options. And McDonough, he closed out the shooting option in Sam Bennett, which forces Marchand to be the shooter. And he made no mistake firing this one. On those 2-on-1 rushes, you have to be precise. Marchand with his 23rd goal this season, but just his second with the Panthers. From the far boards, Marchand playing his 1,100th NHL game, tallying career goal number 424. Bounced over to the far side, and it's back behind the net as Radish plays it out onto the near side. Connor Geekie sends it up. No 2-on-1 rush here for the Lightning as the Panthers will restart from their own zone, and it bounced up. Moser scoops it up, and here is Nick Paul who waits. Dangles around Kiersted. Directs traffic right behind the net. Penalty coming up here against the Panthers. Paul, right back to the point for Moser. And now here's a slapper on the way. This is blocked. The Lightning will get the extra attacker on a stick lift. And as the Panthers touch up, we'll get the penalty call in just a moment. And the Lightning going to the power play once again. 4-1 Bolts as Kiersted will get 2 minutes for hooking. It'll be the stick up high right on Nick Paul as he tried to slow him down, and Paul felt that. Easy call to make. Lightning lead by 3, and they'll go to the power play up next. Back at Tampa, where we have some updates here from St. Louis and Utah, Minnesota and Anaheim. Jimmy Snuggerud scores career goal number 1 on the power play, assisted by Zach Boduk and Pavel Buchnevich to get the Blues up 3-0 with 3 minutes to go in the first period. The goals coming at 14:45 the first period. The Ducks have tied it up on the Wild. Alex Killorn unassisted, 1-1. At Minnesota, playoff berth on the line as we get back into action. Lightning on the power play. And Braden Point will drop it off for Jake Guentzel. On the right point, Hedman directs traffic on for Guentzel. And a slight clear off the edge. And racing back for the puck, scooping it up first, is Brandon Hagel. 35 goals, none on the power play. Hedman slows up. And will drop it. And will fake the drop pass. And will send this one up. That was a bad entry for the Bolts. Kulikov easily clears this one. And will send it all the way down for Vasilevsky. Panthers got on the board thanks to Brad Marchand. Right after a goal from Nikita Kucherov at the side of Vanecek's cage. Guentzel waits. And he'll drop it for Point. Braden Point utilizing his speed. Up for the right side. Point finding Guentzel almost immediately. Backhanding around. It's headed for Kulikov. But it's tapped by Marchand. And it's just held in by Radish. Radish fakes the pass and directs it on for Guentzel, who feeds it back over to Radish, and now once again for Guentzel. Radish holds, and here's Kucherov. Kucherov, Radish, Guentzel, one-timer. Walked in front as Point is all scuffled up. Hagel, Point, Kucherov tried to pass it, but the Panthers were all over that one. Excellent penalty killing. An excellent defense that time around, tagging out Kucherov and not getting the pass away. Now Radish leading the way. Guentzel and Point have 33 power play goals. The rest of the team with 26 combined. And these two are your go-to guys if you want to get a power play goal. Right around for the far boards and moving inside is Gord on the near half boards. Bounce through, and Radish just able to hold it. It takes another bounce, and the Panthers backhand this one out, and that kills off the penalty. Radish waits some more, and for Florida, that's their 12th straight penalty killed against the Bolts. Up through the middle, this takes a bounce, and the Panthers will re-enter with this. Half spin, and moving on through is Jones, who fires this one up and high. Looks to Reed and holding this one inside. Jones, one-timer Rodriguez, and that may have bounced off of someone in front, and the Lightning will scoop this one up off the tie-up. One-on-one rush here for the far side boards. Paul spins around Rodriguez, and out in front, that doesn't buy anything. Gord will send it to the right point for Moser, backhands this one in, and Gonzalez, who's tied up. Gonzalez wants to find Gord, does, and a wraparound pass onto the far half boards for Moser at the right point. Gonzalez, hot potato pass, doesn't find anyone as it takes another bounce. Scoop back up by the Panthers, and through the far boards, this is dumped in onto Vasilevsky's crease. Sent down the distance, and Vasilevsky finds nobody, but this was last touched by a Panther, so the icing is called off. Florida holds on to the puck. Oh, a nice dangle as they enter inside. From the left circle, they miss everything, and it's held inside by Bolinskis. Verhage rink wide over to Schmidt. Nate Schmidt holds on to the puck. This takes a bounce, and the Lightning want to clear this one down. They do. And Chafee, Hagel spun. That was actually Gergensen's. And back deep is Bolinski's. Lightning stick lift, and they are able to hold it. Directed on for the far corner to Gergensen's. Gergensen's takes a fall, losing an edge. On for the far corner, off this tangle up, the Panthers emerge victorious on the net battle. Not a net battle, but rather a boards battle. Their side, this is Lilleberg, who waits patiently and takes it inside. For the near corner, this is scooped up by Gensel. Jake Gensel wants to go to the far half boards. Can't find anyone, and the Panthers scoop it up. And a bad bounce off of Jesper Boquist. It will be scooped back up by the Lightning. They're going to say it's icing. Kirill Vemilko with 6 saves for the Utah Hockey Club against the St. Louis Blues. They're in the first period as the Blues have scored a 4th goal. They want to make the playoffs, and they're making their statement. Zach Bolduc on the power play, assisted by Robert Thomas. Vitek Vanacek has been getting shelled tonight, allowing 4 goals in a 25-minute span. Gensel fired twice, has 1 goal. Fired out by the Panthers, and chasing after it is Cirelli, who pokes it away. On for the far boards, Verhage got a stick onto it, and the Panthers send this back down inside. Victor Hedman waits and looks up front on for the far boards. Sent back across to Anthony Cirelli. Cirelli gets this one inside. Hagel tied up. Kierstead is there. On the right point, held in by Perbix. Hagel was swept away. Gensel in pursuit. Kierstead there. At the far corner, Hagel butts the body onto one of the Panthers. Cirelli on the hold. Right point to left as Hedman. Curl drag. Stopped by Vanacek. The rebound! Just stopped by Vanacek as they force it towards his left. Hedman back across. Tie up, and the Panthers take it away. This could be a 2-on-2 as Nico Sturm slows the play down. Kicked out by Vasilevsky on the initial shot, no rebound. Panthers settle back down on his tap. And Nico Mikkola will feed his man up front for the dump in as both teams make changes. Jesse Puljujärvi is back out there. Former 4th overall pick in the 2016 NHL entry draft. It's Gage Gonzalez. Says it's on his backhand down deep. A race for the puck is won by Florida, but it's quickly put to the stick on by Tampa. Back across on an intended centering feed, but nobody home. Rodriguez sends one across rink wide for Samoskevich, who takes this down deep. Samoskevich, no stick lift as he keeps a hold onto the stick. With Radish onto him, out in front. Samoskevich tried to tuck this one inside. Directs this on for the top of the left circle. Jones finds Samoskevich again. Fires again. And that was blocked in front. Puljujärvi can't get anything there. The Lightning can. For a split second. The Panthers spin to keep it around. Rodriguez, down deep. Gergensen's with the push and the shove. As Samoskevich wants to go after this puck, there's a loose stick on the ice. Poked away by the Panthers as they hold the zone. Back deep is Jones on a drive that fired wide. Fresh legs off the bench for Florida as Rasmus Asplund is back out there. Sam Bennett is up top, and a shot was stopped by Vasilevsky one-timer. Gadjevich is down low. Jonah Gadjevich wants to center up front. Can't get anything. And after 55 seconds of zone time, the Lightning clear it down. First one back is Asplund. The Bolts able to change units. Asplund for Jones. Seth Jones sends it for the far boards, but a stick in the lane ends it. The Panthers get it back off the takeaway. Jones will get this one back down deep, and he'll settle for his change out of a shift. Perbix off the loose stick that's on the ice, picked up by J.J. Moser. 6:50 to go here in the second period. It's 4-1 It's 4-1 Lightning, excuse me. Alec Nava here with you on the play-by-play. Mitchell Chafee tried to get this between the legs, and it's scooped back up by Bolinskis. Up for the far boards, no call as Yanni Gore was entangled with. For the far boards, this is sent up for the ice. Back around for the boards, Losterinen there. Losterinen shoved by Moser. Sends it to the near corner, and back around for the far half boards. Down deep, it is Boquist. Boquist. Ran right into Chafee. Chafee goes down. And Yanni Gord lofts this one through center. A chase for this puck on the tangle up. Delayed offside. As the Panthers scoop it back up. Lightning go for a change as it's backhanded in by Bennett. Vasilevsky walks it behind for Chernak. Sent up for the near side of the ice. And down for the lane. Schmidt will be the first one there. Icing is waved off. Schmidt. Watched by Gonzalez. Over the far half boards. The Panthers moving through 3-on-2. A stick in the lane there on Bennett as this one tapped. And there was a stick that ends that. Breakout here. But Nate Schmidt ends that. That could have been dangerous there for the Panthers. And now the Lightning are back inside. Point! Hagel! Stopped by Vanacek. He's out of his crease. Puck is loose. Is picked up by the Panthers. And they're looking to get this one out. They do. Oh my goodness. What a stop by Vanacek. His best one tonight. It was otherwise been a forgettable night. Verhaeghe, the former Bolt, blocked up by Chernak. And this one forced onto the far half boards. Not cleared as the Panthers get this one towards the left point. But the Lightning have multiple sticks onto the ice. Their defense comes with stick checking, not physical body checking. Vanacek plays this one out. Gensel there. On the near half boards, the scoop back up. Moved up for Samoskevich. Samoskevich through the near half boards. Gets jostled off the puck by Hedman. And twisted and toward around for the far half boards are the Panthers. All around. The Lightning take it away. Lead pass right through for Gensel. And then here comes the breakout. Here's Brendan Hagel. Saved by Vanacek. Gensel feeds Hagel out in front. Can't find anything there as Hagel is on the hole at the far corner. One of the best saves that Vanacek has made. And a keep here from the Lightning here. Long straightaway shot. Rebound goes behind the net. Off the boards. And Tampa Bay able to hold this one. Cirelli finding Hagel. Body's dead tired here on the ice. 4:15 to go here in the second frame. Samoskevich backhands it deep. Vasilevsky will defer it backwards. Waiting is Hedman. He'll go across. And back behind Gretzky's office at the Lightning make some more changes. 4 minutes to go here in the second period. As the Panthers begin to chase the Lightning here, they take it away, but can't do much with it as Geeky intercepts the pass. On the near half boards is Chafee, spun and twisted as the Panthers jostled up the puck, and it comes back behind to Gretzky's office. Could be cleared as the Panthers keep this one in. Only goal for the Panthers came on a 2-on-1 rush. Victor Hedman. Hedman waits and then bounces this one off for the far half boards, and this gets cleared onto the Tampa benches. It's not out of play though. The Panthers will recollect this right behind Vanacek. Gergens is watching. Up the far half boards, it is Gonzalez on the hold. Back for Emil Lilleberg, who gets turned away by the Panthers. And the Panthers skate this one to center ice and looking to find some space 2-on-2. Marchand tried to go up front. The Lightning were all over that. 3:05 to play here in the second period. Tampa's up 4-1. Yanni Gord keeping his zone here. And it's bounced up as Nick Paul tried to set up. Right point. Bounced off to Chernak. Chernak finds McDonough. Ryan McDonough, long shot. Gets stopped by Vanacek. And it's directed off for the far half boards. And right inside, a quick shot. Another one stopped by Vanacek. 2:42 to play here in the second period. All the way back is McDonough. Bouncing puck at the red line as it's recollected by the Bolts. Yanni Gord in pursuit. Dmitry Kulikov is right behind. Kulikov lifting this one up. Nick Paul is on him. And this one chipped up. And long shot from Jesse Puljujärvi. Stopped by Vasilevsky. right behind the net as the Lightning grab a hold of the puck with 2:20. Out for center ice. Chop back inside by the Panthers. Right behind Vasilevsky. And a quick reaction save by Vasi last time around. We got several minutes without a whistle. But a lot of back and forth action. Right around the blue line as the Bolts try to go back in. Braden Point feeding over the far half boards. And it bounced up. Right behind. Far corner. The Panthers tried to get this one out but could not. It is the Lightning holding onto it. On for the far half boards. It bounced onto the Panthers blue line and Seth Jones picks it up. They take it inside, 3-on-3. Right side is dropped back. Samoskevich 1x1 and Vasilevsky got a piece. 90 seconds to play here in the second period as taking inside is Hedman. Victor Hedman, a crapper by Kucherov, and Vanacek also got a piece. 88 miles an hour on that drive. We'll see which drive tickles the twine on the next one. 1:16 to play, and we have not had a whistle just yet. These players are dead tired. No icing as Jacob Megna is first one back. There was a touch there which prevented this icing. Mitchell Chafee is right there at the near quarter as both teams battle for this loose puck. With 1 minute to go, shots are 17 apiece. The Lightning lead 4-1. But it's important to note about the Maple Leafs game against the Sabres to determine who has the Atlantic Division crown. The Lightning need a regulation loss from the Maple Leafs to have a chance of clinching the Atlantic Division. If the Maple Leafs get at least 1 point, the Lightning will get the second seed in the Atlantic and the Maple Leafs will face the Senators. In the swat, this puck is tied up and the Panthers take it away. If the Maple Leafs were to face the Senators, this will have this exact matchup that we're watching right now as the first round series between them. This time the Lightning have home ice advantage as the Panthers had home ice advantage in the previous free playoff series. A shoulder check right in front of the penalty box doors as this one fired inside is Geeky. Inside for Nick Paul. Walks inside. Vanacek shuts the door. 10 seconds to play in the period. As the Panthers hold on to this one. They're looking to run this one down, it seems. Balinski shoots this one around through the far boards. And it's back behind the net. Chernak's there at the near corner. And that will end the second period with a 4-1 lead for the Tampa Bay Lightning. No stoppages in the final 9:38 of the second period. Remarkable hockey here in what could be a first round preview. As we get Ian on board here, how are you doing? Your Blues are up 4-0.
Alex, it is a good night so far. The Blues are up 4-0. The Blue Jackets are in the third. There's 16 minutes left in their game, and they're up 2-0. Oh my God! Come on. Come on, let it be a great night.
Oh, finish the story as we said that the Blue Jackets, the key here, finish the story. But not only for the Blue Jackets, the Flames as well. Our friend John Ott is covering that game. The key here for the Flames, they also need help from Anaheim. Anaheim needs to beat Minnesota in regulation for Calgary to have a chance. But for that to happen, Calgary needs to win their final 2 games in regulation. Vegas is resting some of their starters, which could help the Flames, who have everything to play for. And guess who's red hot right now for those Flames up in Calgary? Oh, Dustin Wolf.
Him too. Yep. So, the Blues go up 4-0, including a first-timer, Jimmy Snuggerud. His first goal is on the power play.
I knew I had faith in this kid dating back to his Minnesota days. He's the real deal. And this is just a taste of what St. Louis is going to get in the future. I don't know how good he's going to be, but he should be a fixture somewhere around the middle 6 for the moment. If he can make his way to the second line, that's going to be sweet knowing that the top line has Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou. But Zach Bolduc, how about this to chime in on the power play? 4 goals in the first period. That's a statement.
It is. And one other thing it is, and another thing on that Snuggerud goal, it almost didn't happen because Because of course. Because of course, what is a first goal without a little bit of drama on the video review board?
Did Utah try to challenge it?
I think so. Yeah. I think they were looking for goaltender interference. And currently, as we mentioned, Anaheim and the Wild are tied at 1 in the second period.
So what Anaheim has to do is that they must beat Minnesota in regulation for St. Louis to jump them and for Calgary to have a chance to jump Minnesota, because Minnesota has tiebreaker on both St. Louis and Calgary. St. Louis has tiebreaker on Calgary.
Yeah. Well, it can happen. Anaheim didn't they beat Edmonton in regulation not too long ago?
And not too long ago, but also you have to take into account that the Kings, they beat a battered Oilers team yesterday 5-0. And look at the Oilers injury list. You're not going to believe your eyes. That includes McDavid and Draisaitl. Ouch!
Yeah, God, whoever this goalie is for the Blue Jackets, I think his last name is Greaves.
Jet Greaves.
He is doing everything in his power right now to will this team to a win today.
A 24 save shutout and still going.
So far.
So far, so good. And as for the other game that's worth watching, do remember the Atlantic Division is still up for grabs. Toronto needs just 1 point to clinch it. They're up 1-0 on the Buffalo Sabres, and they're in the middle of the third period.
Wow.
Yet, and there's still a pathway that Tampa can clinch it. They need Toronto to lose out the rest of their season, both in regulation. Tampa needs to win out. At least one of them can be a regulation win. They can, but they can only afford an overtime or shootout win just once. And by the looks of it, Tampa looks like they're going to win this one in regulation. But if the Toronto game goes as expected, from what we are seeing, it's going to be uncomfortable for the Lightning. At the same time, they're waiting on this game. They want to draw Ottawa, but in all likelihood, we're getting the Battle of Florida and the Battle of Ontario in the first round.
You know what? Toronto, finish it off. Give us both of those matchups.
Yes, this would be cinema. Even for us wanting the 1-for-8 playoff format being brought back, a Battle of Ontario and a Battle of Florida in the first round would deliver a lot.
Yeah. Oh, man. And let's also... All right. How much time do we have left in the intermission, Alec?
The intermission has just started.
Just started. All right. So, real quick, let's take a bit of a detour. We are still following all the action here, ladies and gentlemen, but let's hop on over to the NBA side of things real quick. And as was predicted in Patrick's happy hour earlier this afternoon, the Magic are taking it to the Hawks. I think, was it you who noted the Hawks have no defense?
Yeah, the Hawks have no defense. The Magic are loaded with defense. Well, these two teams are polar opposites. Magic are all defense. They can score, though, but where's the help going to come outside Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner? They need someone to step up, and so far it's Wendell Carter Jr. For the Hawks, it is all offense, no defense. Well, their only defensive guy of note is Dyson Daniels, who's nominated for Defensive Player of the Year. Orlando's up by 11 in the middle of the third quarter. Their largest lead, however, was by 21.
so let's take another look. Currently, Blues up 4-0 on the Utah Hockey Club. Jackets up 2-0 on the Flyers. Golden Knights and the Flames just started. I will be heading over to John Ott's broadcast as soon as that's over. Is he co-hosting with Coop?
As I'm going to check right now, I don't know, but usually this would be the case. Not right now, as it is on the current broadcast, but we'll keep an eye out on that game because this means the whole world for the Flames. For them and the Blue Jackets, finish the story. Make Johnny proud.
Yep, and Anaheim, you're part of this too.
Yep, and and it would break my heart to see Marc-Andre Fleury miss out on the playoffs in what could be his final season. But, you know what? I'd rather have Calgary in the playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah. And also, let's be real, the Wild are memed for their legacy of failure right now. So just don't let the memes die quite yet.
Those poor guys up north. But at least if there's a silver lining for the Wild, it's that they'll be out of the worst parts of the Parise and Suter buyouts after this season. Yep. So they can add after this season with the cap that's going to rise up exponentially in the summer. So that's going to help. The Brock Faber contract's going to kick in, so that'll be a salary cap decrease of about $4 million when you take into account that Faber's making. Let's look at the contracts for Minnesota. This year's the final year of his entry-level deal, and Faber he'll be making $8.5 million per year next season. The Parise and Suter buyouts next season will be worth a combined $1 2/3 million, after it was a combined $14.75 million this season.
Wow. Yikes. Big yikes.
Yes, it is a big yikes. But they can breathe after this season. Oh. And no matter if they make or miss the playoffs, all will end off is, Flower, thank you. Thank you so much for everything. One of the best humans in hockey. Go and ascend on to the next life, wherever that may take you.
And of course, he has more than just that, because he can say he was the last tie to the 2004 Penguins team that almost moved to Kansas City and turned that into being a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, including a back-to-back championship. Yes, he was the backup by then, but it counts. Damn it.
Yeah, it does count. Especially when you consider that he was lights out in the first 2 rounds of the 2017 playoffs. I will never forget that shutout in Game 7 against the Washington Capitals. Blanked them 2-0, and he turned it on to hand Mr. Game 7 his first loss in a Game 7. Well, Mr. Game 7 would then return to favor on Washington as a member of the Carolina Hurricanes with the setup pass for Brock McGinn and a double overtime winner as a member of the Hurricanes in his second stint with them. But Fleury, thank you for everything. Who knows if he's going to retire as a Penguin or as a Golden Knight? But I just can't imagine him not retiring as a Penguin.
I agree. I mean, that's where he had the most success. That's where he won the cup. Sure, he was a part of something special in Vegas, and I think if Vegas had won the cup that first year, there's a good chance he goes in as a Golden Knight. But considering how they left, or how they basically punted him out the door, I have a feeling he'll go to I'm feeling he'll retire as a Penguin.
Well, that's how I see it too. Is looking around other scores among games in which involves teams that have already clinched their spots or out at the chase. The Blackhawks and Senators. The Blackhawks already eliminated. The Senators are waiting for whoever wins the Atlantic Division. It's free between them, and there's the belief that Ottawa is resting players in advance of their first round matchup. Don't blame them for that, because you want to get your guys as healthy as possible for the playoffs. They are resting Brady Tkachuk. We'll have to see if they are resting any more players, and it looks like they're also resting Jake Sanderson. Yeah, they're having Nicholas Mattapalo in the lineup. He was part of that Four Nations face-off team in Finland. Anton Forsberg's getting to start. And he has faced 9 Chicago shots. It is free between the Blackhawks and Senators. And honestly, among the young teams in the NHL, that I feel the happiest for the Senators as they finally broke through the 8-year drought and make it to the playoffs. It was time.
Yep. And you can also point this as a watershed year, because truly the stink of Eugene Melnyk is gone. You've made it back.
Yes, it's fully gone now. And to quote Pierre Dorian, even though it was an infamous quote at the time, but now it's the appropriate time to bring it back. The rebuild is done.
Yep. And they are a team.
Yes.
And this time they can say it with pride.
Yeah, they are sincerely a team. And I mean this in a genuine way, not the sarcastic way. This is genuine. They are a team. If they were to face the Leafs in the first round, good chance is there's a good chance that the Sens can push it the distance.
Yep. Now let's see. Oh, Vegas scores. Brandon Saad.
Well, he's having himself a nice revival in Vegas, slotting into the middle six. Gets a fresh start is what he needed after a slow start to the year with St. Louis. Saad with his 13th of the year, and setting it up was Pavel Dorofeyev, who has had himself a breakout season as the team leader in goals and an electric power play option.
You know, okay, so if this is Flowers' last year, props to you. But, I mean, has he confirmed that he's retiring at the end?
Yes, he announced that this season will be his last.
Okay, I was going to say, if he wanted to stick it out and try for one more go-around, where would you want him to go? Obviously not the Penguins. It's not the right place. But for a chance for him to win another cup, you can place him anywhere. Where are you placing him?
Yeah, at this stage, he's going to be a backup if he wants to have a legitimate shot at winning a Stanley Cup, and probably if you want to go somewhere like the place like Florida, or if you want to make amends and make up for the past, probably a reunion with Vegas.
Or, and hear me out, do you think Toronto would want an experienced backup goaltender?
That puzzles me because they already have a plan in place between Anthony Stolarz and Joseph Woll, and Stolarz has been playing like a starting caliber goaltender, having the season of his life. Woll is was once viewed as the goaltender of the future, in my opinion, but now I see him as a 1B behind Stolarz. But at this point, Stolarz has made clear that he's the starter, and he should be. But I don't see if there's any room for Toronto to pick up Fleury. Well, at least if that happens, he'd be reunited with Matt Murray.
True. And let me see here. Okay, the start of the period's coming up. The Columbus Blue Jackets, with 6.5 minutes left, go up 3-0. Goal scored by Adam Fantilli.
Let's go! All right. And I want to mention, Fantilli is on a hot run. He's up to 30 goals on the season. And he's on a hot run his last 42 games. Where he's on a goal scoring, when he's on a point scoring and goal scoring run as the face of the franchise that he was viewed to be. Fantilli from Kirill Marchenko and Ivan Provorov. Let's remember this, Ian. The Columbus Blue Jackets have not beaten the Flyers in regulation at any point this season. Their only win was a shootout win on January the 14th. But now, with Jet Greaves leading the way and the Flyers goaltending, if we're going to say this, faltering, then there's a chance that Columbus is alive.
Yep, and my man, I saw who their last opponent is. If your Hurricanes come up clutch, boy, oh boy, do the Blue Jackets have a test for their path to the playoffs.
We're getting back underway here in this third period. Yes, the Blue Jackets, they have the Islanders in their final game. And if, as with this puck is iced here to begin the third period, if Carolina beats Montreal in regulation tomorrow, the game to be featured on Thursday will be the Blue Jackets and the Islanders. The Columbus must win in regulation to advance to the playoffs if Carolina wins against Montreal in regulation tomorrow night. So I will not be calling any of those games, but Thursday, it'll all come down to that. A 4-1 lead here by the Lightning as the Panthers are moving right to left in the white jerseys. The Lightning in the black jerseys left to right. This bounces up, and Verhaeghe speeding up ahead. Verhaeghe fires it wide. Wanted to get one back on his former team. The Lightning led this game 4-0. The only Panthers goal came from Brad Marchand. The Lightning goal scorers being Braden Point, Connor Geekie, Jake Gensel, and Nikita Kucherov. The Lightning come back into this 2-on-2. Cirelli's shot was stopped by Vanecek. And yes, I'm saying Vanecek because Sergei Bobrovsky is dressed as a backup. Florida's intention is to rest their starters so as to save them for the playoffs. That means no Alexander Barkov, no Sam Reinhart. But they are playing Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand. Off the faceoff, this is won by the Bolts. Here is Moser who finds Gonzalez, who smoked it wide on a quick shot. Jesper Boquist, his brother Adam, started the season as a Panther, but he finishes the season as an Islander. Vasilevsky plays it out onto the near corner. The Lightning are in their 8th straight playoff appearance, winning the Stanley Cup in 2020 and 2021. Boquist on for the near half boards, takes it back. Tight shot stopped by Vasilevsky as he leaves it out for Moser. Moser's all tied up at the near corner. Panthers trying to hold his own here. On these near half boards, Gonzalez there alongside Sturm. Bounces up for Hedman with Luxarina in pursuit. Hedman drops it around over to Moser. These two have formed an excellent pairing up against one another. And looking around here, back at the trapezoid, are the Bolts. Up for the far half boards. Backhanded this one out as this stretches all the way to Florida ice. Rodriguez trying to clear this one out as this takes 2 swipes at it. And the Lightning will pick it up at the neutral zone. Intercept the pass as coming back onto his Jacob Megna. One tire from deep is Gadjevich. And sticked away by Vasilevsky. From the near corner, Lilleberg tying his man up for the far half boards. Pass in front for Gonzalez as he walks back with this puck. Kucherov. The Panthers in their 6th straight postseason appearance, dating back to the 2020 bubble. They're the defending Stanley Cup champions, 2-time defending Eastern Conference champions. 2:20 into the third. The Panthers, in that span, with a second-round appearance in 2022, Stanley Cup Finals in 2023, Stanley Cup Championship 2024. And the Lightning, in this playoff streak, Conference Finals 2018, as this puck goes out of play, the sweep in 2019, back-to-back Stanley Cup championships in 2020 and 2021. Stanley Cup finals in 2022. For back-to-back first-round exits in the last 2 years. The Lightning have not excelled on defense in the 2 years that Ryan McDonagh was on the Nashville Predators. But now that they brought him back, they're back to some form of respectability defensively. And Andrei Vasilevsky is back to Vezina winning form as well. Zemgus Girgensons to take the faceoff opposite Nico Sturm, who was acquired from the San Jose Sharks at the trade deadline. Girgensons signed with Tampa in the offseason as a free agent. Girgensons wins the draw. Quick shot off the draw. And a backhander. Made his way out to Vanacek. Puck is still free. On the near half boards. Perbix. Shot made his way over to Vanacek. And Perbix keeps this one inside, but he's tied up at the near corner by Schmidt. Another tie up at the near corner. As this puck ensues in a battle in no man's land for the near half boards. Puck flutters free as Chafee tries to deliver this one around. A bob and a wave as Kiersted went down, and back at the point, it is Perbix. Deep left point as this shot was gobbled up by Vanacek. And so we'll get an update between the Maple Leafs and the Sabres. And in all likelihood, we're going to see the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Ottawa Senators, barring a comeback here from the Sabres, in which they score 3 unanswered goals in regulation. But that may not be likely. The second goal from Toronto, Mitch Marner from Austin Matthews and Matt Nyes. If the result holds up, we'll have the Maple Leafs and the Senators to face off in the first round, the Lightning and the Panthers, for the fourth time in 5 years. Back in front, Hagel! Stopped by Vanacek, the rebound at the side! Swept away as Cirelli held this one inside. Gensel across to Shernack, fighting Cirelli. Return feed, Shernack can see with stick lifted, controlling on the backhand. Shernack is behind the net, drives it on for Gensel, but is driven away by Jones. Holding the zone is McDonagh. Back it around over to the near corner. Cirelli tried to find Shernack, but Bennett was there. Back up the Panthers 3-on-3. Bennett drops back for Verhaeghe. For the near half boards. Verhaeghe sends it down low over to Marchand. Marchand throws one towards Vasilevsky. Cirelli was right there. One-timer on the turnover! And Bennett was turned away by Vasilevsky last minute. Back over to Bolinski's. Long straightaway. Fired wide. Loose stick behind the net. Only 4 boats have sticks. The wall foul is Shernack. This is not a power play, but the Panthers are operating it like it's one. Then back out in front. This gets sticked away. Then over to the right point. What is kicked on for Hagel. Back over to the corner as the Lightning take it away. Hagel advancing 3-on-2 with the Lightning getting back numbers. Centering pass was knocked away and directed over to the far half boards and directed out to center. Tampa picks it up in the neutral zone and they scoot it back. Gensel will go for a change as the Bolts get a U4 line on. John Cooper, arguably the best coach in the NHL right now, based on pedigree and based on his adjustments. He learned about adjusting over time. Over to the near half boards after this dump in. Yanni Gourde gets this out for center as Nikita Kucherov goes across for Braden Point. Point over the left circle, closing in. Point right around through the horn. From the right point, winds it up for Gourde. Kucherov dispossessing the puck off a stick lift from Schmidt. Staying with the puck, Kucherov tried to find Point in front, but couldn't do so as this was poked free. Now the Panthers come back with their own 3-on-2. They instead dump this behind Vasilevsky and a race for this puck. It is a bump. The Bolts pick it up though with Moser. Waiting some timeout as both teams make changes. Sturm waits some timeout. Let's go Lightning chance here at Tampa Bay at Amalie Arena. Down deep as this gets directed for center. Paul brings it in. Drop pass onto the top of the left circle. Kerwin drag move. Backhand. Forehand. And Vanacek was run over. Drew a penalty in the midst of it. And Tampa will hold a touch up. The Panthers will get out to the power play.
Hey, Alec, quick update. Calgary scores on a power play goal. Morgan Frost, his 14th of the season. All right, well.
Just what they needed. Morgan Frost from Mackenzie Weegar and Matt Coronado. The first goal from Vegas is instead credited to Dorofeyev. Assist from Tomas Hertl and Brandon Saad. 1-1 though, as Frost gets his 14th of the season on the man advantage. Exactly what the Flames needed to do to get things leveled up. Utah strikes back They get one. They need 3 more if they were to get this all the way through. Clayton Keller on the power play.
Yep. But you know what? The Blues right now are still... They're still playing good defense, knock on wood. So they just need to keep playing good defense for the rest of the game.
Yeah, the studio updates are rolling through the ESPN side. The Lightning, they're pressuring shorthanded. Walking right at his Hagel. Backhander. Shut up by Vanacek. Off the pad, and he drops it back over to Jones. Evan Rodriguez. The Lightning had 1 shorthanded goal so far to count here tonight. They tried to get another. Sam Miskevich drives it inside. Shernack was all over that puck. And if this result holds up, Columbus will still be alive. They'll have to wait on tomorrow's result between Carolina and Montreal. Evan Rodriguez gets us back up front, but nothing there. The Bolts clear it down. Waiting for the rest of this timeout as the Maple Leafs tackle the twine again. It's 3-0. The goal from Austin Matthews unassisted.
It is official. The Columbus Blue Jackets win 3-0. They shut out the Flyers. Alec, it's your turn now. It is your turn now. Hurricanes, give our friends in Columbus some help.
And we'll get the help of the Brass Bonanza. One-timer by Bolinski's. Move over here, Alec. Let me take over as the Brass Bonanza's going to take over. We are taking no prisoners on our run to the Stanley Cup. We will deliver Columbus. The story that we all deliver is going to be a Brass Bonanza. Thank you for coming to our games.
Sir, you do a much better Hurricanes fan than I do, and I applaud.
Hey, no worries. We can work on it together. Penalty is killed though, as we're looking to run this clock out on the way to the stoppage. It seems 2-time Stanley Cup champion Vasilevsky sees this one blocked as this was sticked away, and the Panthers will go back to it at their own zone. 4-1, the Lightning still holding on to it. The Panthers limited to just 1 goal. That is on a 2-on-1 rush by Brad Marchand. Moser will find Hedman, and this one bounced through center. What the Lightning are playing defense. And a slip up here by the Bolts. And this will be forced back to the Panthers zone as the Lightning go back inside. Chafee, he's tied up. That's going to be a penalty against the Panthers. Arm is up in the air, and both sides are, oh my goodness! Zemgus Girgensons just threw Nico Sturm down onto the ice like a ragdoll. This is the rivalry that's going to be intensifying because this playoff matchup is confirmed. The Tampa Bay Lightning will face the Florida Panthers in the first round, and the intensity is only amplifying up here at Amalie Arena. Chafee is getting tended to by the medical staff. Do remember the Lightning don't have Oliver Bjorkstrand or Luke Glendening because of separate injuries. Bjorkstrand's rolled out week to week. Glendening is out for a while, and here we go. Sturm and Girgensons, they have dropped the mitts. Girgensons counts with a right on Sturm. Sturm throws 2 more rights at Girgensons. Sturm with a right. Girgensons with the KO. Are you ready for the Battle of Florida in the first round? You're just getting a taste of this action.
Oh, this is gonna be good. Yeah, the Battle of Ontario with Toronto and Ottawa, and now the two teams full of Florida men. What could go wrong?
I already am trying to have ideas for what I have on my unofficial playoff bracket because all the matchups have not been confirmed, but I already got some of them down as we're going to break. Carolina over New Jersey in 5 games. That's the first one. I have Colorado over Dallas in 7 games to break Pierre DeBoer's undefeated streak in Game 7s and also give the Avalanche their first Game 7 victory in 23 years in such a scenario. Kings and Oilers, I know the popular narrative is that the Kings are going to lose to the Oilers again. But you know what? I think this year's different. The Kings will not kill you by offense, but by means of stable defense and goaltending. And I think it goes to 7, where Darcy Kemper shuts the door in that game 7. Kings win it. And I have a hot take. I think the Kings will go to the Western Conference Final.
Wow. That is bold, my man. But I think you're right, especially considering they will be with Darcy Kemper and not a mixture of Cal Peterson and Phoenix Copley.
Mm-hmm. Edmonton this year isn't the same team as they were last year, and a lot of their key players have had regression across the board. That includes McDavid, himself. Draisaitl's in the Hart Trophy conversations, and I'll give him that. But Zach Hyman, Evan Bouchard, Stuart Skinner, all the names that you recognize from the Oilers, they had some form of regression this season. They're offensively dynamic, but defensively, penalties are going to be called by Garrett Rank. We'll get the call in just a moment. I think the red light is still on. So Jesse Puljujärvi has been given a 5-minute major for 5-minute major for an illegal check to the head on Mitchell Chaffee. He was banged up and went to the locker room as a result. So Yep. So at the end of this all, we have 5 penalties awarded. Puljujärvi. All right. Puljujärvi, 5. All right. Connor Geekie gets 2 for roughing. Emil Lilleberg, JJ Moser, 2 each for roughing. And we have the fighting penalties on Zemgus Girgensons and Nico Sturm. Puljujärvi has been ejected from the game as he is given a 5-minute major penalty and a game misconduct. Well, they have ruled it a match penalty, but it's the same ruling as a 5-minute major and a game misconduct. So Puljujärvi has been tossed from the game, and yes, Puljujärvi is still in the NHL. His last team was the Pittsburgh Penguins before coming over to the Florida Panthers. Waivers, you know. It is a 4-1 lead for the Lightning. But it's official. The Panthers and the Lightning will face off in the playoffs for the fourth time in 5 years. It is 2 minutes of 4-on-4 as Kucherov fires. That one blocked. It's staying in the field of play off of Schmidt. Bounced up, and this will go behind Vanacek. Scooped up, then driven backwards through the far boards. The Panthers try to establish something. Sam Bennett moves in with speed. Bennett around one of the boats, directing over to the right side. Here's Schmidt closing in. Stopped by Vasilevsky. Easy save there as Point moves it over to the far half boards and twisting and turning against Kucherov. Back over to the far corner for McDonough. Ryan McDonough slowing up play as Eric Chernak, his usual defensive partner, on Tampa, goes for a change. The McDonough and Chernak pairing has been the most common between these two in their times together as Nick Paul takes away the icing. The Toronto Maple Leafs have won 4-0 over the Buffalo Sabres. Florida and Tampa face each other in the first round. Rodriguez fires and bounced off of Vasilevsky. From the far corner, Seth Jones walks this one out. Toronto faces Ottawa in the first round. Up for the middle, and it's Carter Verhaeghe. To the right side, Rodriguez snaps a shot and is stopped by Vasilevsky. And now here's a 2-on-1 here for Tampa. Chance to make it a 4-goal lead. Gage Gonzalez closes in. Gonzalez fires. Stopped by Vanacek. And it's directed to the far corner. And under the whistle with 32 left on the 4-on-4. Another penalty, so we'll have 4-on-3. It'll be Nico Mikko getting 2 minutes for holding the stick. So another one added to the box. So Geeky and Gergensons, the penalized parties for Tampa in the 8:28 mark. Puljujarvi and Sturm for the Panthers. And now Mikkola joins the party. Rasmus Asplund is the one serving the Puljujarvi match penalty. 5 minutes, and now there are 3 players in the box for the Panthers. Not exactly the party you want, but you cannot hold the stick of an opposing player. This is not overtime, but the Lightning will have 32 seconds of 4-on-3 power play time. The Bolts clear this one down, and Vasilevsky out of his crease to play this. The Chicago Blackhawks defeat the Ottawa Senators in overtime 4-3. Point. Those run over to Hedman, and now here's Kucherov. Hedman again, slowing up the action. Kucherov blasts a shot, and that one stung into Luostarinen. Kucherov again, and Vanacek got to it. Hedman for the near half boards wants to go to Kucherov. Rights himself up, instead backhands one. It'll be a 2-man advantage, as out of the box is Geeky. Connor Geeky spins and twirls, and he'll head to the bench. Kucherov waits, and he goes across for Gensel. Jake Gensel moves up front, around. On the right point, Kucherov. Kucherov, good. Stick it away for Kulikov to get this one out. And blast it further. With Tampa Bay looking to get this on up. Taylor Radish will drop it back, and here's Point. Moving up through the middle. Point. On the left for Gensel. Gensel finding Point. Point goes for Gensel. And now again, Radish. Hedman. Radish makes himself available at the top of the left circle. Kucherov down low for Gensel. Gensel cross. Point! Off the side, the post! Half close to a second goal. Hedman readies up. Kucherov cross ice. Radish fires and scores! Darren Radish on a beautiful sequence. Tampa's up by 4. An absolute rocket at 96 miles an hour.
Just want to do a quick update. I don't know if you covered it yet, but Vegas is up 2-1. Goal scored by Nick. Wow.
Yeah. Ivan Barbashev, Keegan Kolesar, the assists with less than 2 minutes to go in the first period. Remember, once this game is over, we'll be checking in with John for that game. Tampa still on the power play. It is the middle of a 5-minute major power play. The Bolts will stay here on this man advantage for the rest of the sequence because they're treating this as a 5-on-4 power play on a 5-minute major. There, Radish controlling this one. That shot came in at 96 miles an hour. A rocket of a shot from the left circle. Nick Paul across over to the high slot. Verhaeghe was there. Verhaeghe controlling on his former team. Backhanding this one out. And Radish will restart. Radish will drop it for Gord. Here's Yanni Gord. He'll take it left side for Gonzalez. Gage Gonzalez dropping it over to Radish. Available is Anthony Cirelli, but Gonzalez is also available. Knocked down midair by Florida and cleared back down. 1:13 on the 5-minute power play. Anthony Cirelli starting back up onto the left side. Cirelli will drop it for Gonzalez, and now Paul. Another drop pass. Gord back across in front. Nothing there for the Bolts. Now this is up in the air as it's collected by Gonzalez, who'll direct it back over to Hedman. Gord, Gonzalez, left circle. Gord one-timer, kicked out by Vanacek. Rebound is chopped away by the Panthers, and this could be a 2-on-1. They hurry up. Down to the left circle is Rodriguez. Rodriguez snaps one, is wide. Collected at the right point by Kulikov, who directs it over to Hedman, who is waiting there at the far corner. Gensel. Hedman. 35 seconds to go on the power play as Hedman. Once again dropping it back, here's Point. Braden Point. Leading the way for the far side is Brandon Hagel. Walks to left point and then goes across for Kucherov. Sets up Hedman in front. Hedman for the high point. Doesn't go there. And Gadjevich will pick it up. He'll clear this one down the ice. Hedman will slow the action down. They don't need another power play goal, but they've done enough damage here to make this a sizable lead. Gensel across for Point at the far half boards. Left side. Hedman blasts one again. And that one turned away by Vanacek. 3 seconds and 2. Cleared down by the Panthers. And finally, Vasilevsky out of his crease. He has to retreat back in time and does. One-timer from the left point. Smoked wide. And this will be out of play Nico Mikkola, who is out of the box. And we have a gathering right afterwards. Of course, whenever you have rivals pitted up against one another, it usually does not end well. We'll be right back in just a moment for the closing stage of regulation. We'll get the updates right around. The Golden Knights up 2-1. Ducks and Wild tied at 1. Of the games of significance, Blues up 4-1. The Blue Jackets and Maple Leafs results are official. The Toronto Maple Leafs have clinched the Atlantic Division and will face the Ottawa Senators in the first round. And you know, a long playoff series, I have both battles of Ontario and Florida ending in 7 games. I think the Lightning win in 7, and the Leafs and Senators go to 7. The last time the Maple Leafs have won a Game 7, oh yes, against the Senators in 04.
Wow. So, Columbus wins tonight. Tomorrow, like Gandalf appearing at Helm's Deep, the Hurricanes must appear and ultimately destroy the Canadiens in regulation for the Blue Jackets to have a chance.
It is
for any listeners. I believe Alec has talked about it, but I will reiterate. The Montreal Canadiens must lose tomorrow in regulation to the Hurricanes, and the Blue Jackets the very next day must beat the New York Islanders in regulation to advance to the playoffs. So all of this comes down to regulation wins and losses.
That is the key. Because if Montreal gets 1 point, they're in. And they'll be facing Washington in the first round. If Montreal loses in regulation and Columbus wins in regulation, Columbus is in. They hold tiebreaker on Montreal in regulation wins. Montreal has tiebreaker on Columbus in regulation and overtime wins. So tiebreaker battles are important. If Montreal is in, whoever gets wild card number 2 will face the Washington Capitals in the first round. But wouldn't it be sweet to have the Blue Jackets in the playoffs after all they've been through? Face-off is won by the Bolts. We're back underway. Another update, the Golden Knights up 3-1. Tomas Hertl from Brandon Saad and Nick Hague. 6:13 to go in the third period. This one sent up for the near boards. A foot race. Cirelli gets slowed up at the right circle. Panthers look to take it away, but can't as Gensel picks it back up. Cirelli tried to tuck it. Vanacek lost it. And the Panthers help him out. Scoop this one out for center with Bennett calmly sending this one around the horn onto the far half boards. Verhaeghe is tied up by Gensel. We're seeing his defensive play elevated here at Tampa Bay on the second line with Hagel and Cirelli. Glove down here by the Panthers as Gensel will stick this one back for Chernak. This is the Lightning's shutdown pairing that last played here. McDonough and Chernak. McDonough was part of another shutdown pairing a decade ago when he was paired next to Dan Girardi as a member of the New York Rangers. They were reunited in Tampa, Girardi and McDonough. Though by that point, McDonough was paired with Anton Strowman. Long shot from Geekie. He was looking for a second. Nick Paul through the far half boards gets tied up, and the Panthers scoop it back up. Florida wanting to go back the other way, but cannot do it. Kulikov wanting to shift his way through, but can't. Bennett is also tied up. Looks to read it. Does a smart thing and send this one back, trying to open up some space. Final 5 of regulation. The Lightning holding on to a 5-1 lead, and in all likelihood gets a victory here to boost their morale. As this game doesn't have any significance anymore. What a move here by Rodriguez! Walks his way in! Vasilevsky shuts him down! Oh! Rodriguez wanted to do the fancy moves here to get a sweet goal. Vasilevsky was not having any of that. He wants to do the more dirty work. Back onto the near half board. Schmidt sends this one down to the Tampa zone after the one off a body. For the far side, deflected up as the Panthers recollect it and send it back. Jacob Megna back across. Back behind the net, it's sent up front. It's the Panthers waiting with it. It's Samoskevich. Mackie Samoskevich sends it inside. In the past 26 years of this Battle of Florida, we have had no playoff series between them. In the last 5 years, however, including this season, we've had 4. In the first 3 times, Florida had home ice advantage. This time, Tampa has the home ice advantage, so both teams will be starting at this very venue to start the first round series in this push for the playoffs. On the far side, the Panthers walk this back in, calmly with Asplund. Rasmus Asplund gets shoved by Nick Paul. The Panthers down to 10 forwards because of the ejection of Puljujärvi. They're resting Barkov and Reinhardt for tonight. They're also resting Gustav Forsling. Matthew Tkachuk set to come back in Game 1, and Nick Perbix walks in as he makes a man stumble and lose his balance. Tkachuk is set to come back in Game 1 of this series. Aaron Ekblad in Game 3 of this series. Tkachuk recovering from a groin injury that he suffered in the Four Nations face-off. Ekblad was handed a 20-game suspension for a failed drug test. Less than 3 minutes to go. McDonough, that went off the stick of Bennett. Moser tried to retrieve it back. As both teams are battling this one out. It would be sweet knowing that these two rivalries are going to be seen in full scale in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Lightning, of course, the more successful team in this rivalry with their 3 Stanley Cups, 2004, 2020, and 2021. Dumped in. Chernak's the first one back. And you wonder how healthy the Panthers are going to be. Tkachuk's just coming back. Everyone else is relatively healthy. Tkachuk is the only absence known. And if Seth Jones can be serviceable for Florida, between him and Nico Mikkola, that's been a solid second pairing. But just tonight, that's just the second goal they've allowed at 5-on-5. Geeky smoothly walks his way around Mikkola. 2 minutes. You remember, up next, we'll be shifting over to the Golden Knights and the Flames. They're in the midst of it, in a tight battle. If the Flames lose at any point, their season's over. And they cannot win in overtime or shootout if they were to have tiebreakers. Drop back, and then sent up over to the far half boards, moved on back. Perbix. The Panthers got in the way of that pass as Radish waited his turn, but waited a little too long. Well, and not a lot of talk is about the President's Trophy winning team, the Winnipeg Jets. They'll be facing whoever clinches wildcard number 2. Whoever that is between Minnesota, St. Louis, or Calgary. It's a free team battle for that spot. Bounces over to the left side of Vanacek, and he'll just hold on to it along the left post. So it's in the middle of the first intermission between the Golden Knights and the Flames. And as of right now, that's been the scoreline. Devils beat the Bruins 5-4 in overtime. New Jersey's locked into the Metro's free seed, facing the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs. Dougie Hamilton set to come back before this playoff series starts. Jonas Siegenthaler will come back if this series goes deep enough. Face-off won by the Bolts as Gergensen's tried to center one off. War in the last minute. The Lightning trying to run down the clock. The Panthers, they're just playing for pride. This is their final game of the regular season, so they can rest up and think about the playoffs to start their title defense. However, the last 2 defending champions have lost in the first round in a 7-game series. The Avalanche in 2023 at the hands of the Seattle Kraken. And last year's Golden Knights in 7 games at the hands of the Dallas Stars. The Avalanche were the Central Division champions at the time in which they lost their playoff series. The Kraken became the first NHL expansion team to defeat a defending Stanley Cup champion in their first playoff series victory. And the Golden Knights, in a hard-fought battle against the Stars that was conference finals-like, despite being a 1-versus-8 battle. It was easily the best matchup of the first round. Oh, looks like we're not done here between these two teams as the clock runs down to zeros, pushing and shoving at the end of it all in a 5-1 Lightning victory in Florida man style. And this is just the start of the first round battle of Florida as Connor Geeky and Nico Mikko are in the midst of a scuffle. Mackie Samoskevich got his helmet forced off. But in a preview of what's to come here in the Eastern Conference quarterfinals, or the first round, however you want to put it, the Lightning win this one and get themselves an early jump start to their first round series against this very team. So, as to wrap this up, it is Andrei Vasilevsky getting himself a night where he stopped 23 of 24. Darren Radish, Nikita Kucherov, Jake Gensel, Connor Geeky, and Braden Point in that reverse order for the Lightning getting the goals. Brad Marchand, the only goal for the Panthers. So, as we wrap this one up, what do we expect of these two teams in their first round series?
Well, it's two Florida teams going against each other. They don't like each other at all, and it's in the playoffs. So, I'd say somewhere between a block long brawl and all out war, somewhere in between there.
That's appropriate to say, knowing the rivalry between them. Of course, because these two teams don't like each other, we would not be surprised if any of these two opponents dropped the mitts, like what we saw between Nico Sturm and Zemgus Girgensons. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Brandon Hagel going at it with Brad Marchand.
Yeah, I would. You know what? First game of the series, puck drops, and then all the gloves drop. 5 guys in the penalty box all at once for 5 minutes for fighting. Just do it.
That would be the appropriate way to kickstart a rivalry series in the playoffs. It would be just too fitting, you know? Well, that's going to do it here for this matchup. The Lightning win it, 5-1. Can't wait to have these two guys go up against one another in the playoffs. Alongside Ian Genge, I am Alec Nava saying so long from Amalie Arena.
Oh, Alec, it is time.
Yes, it is. Indeed.